Hello everyone, welcome to our Learning About LGDs on-site series. This new series will consist of short videos and interviews on popular topics, common problems, and on occasion questions from the Facebook group. The first video today will be an introduction to livestock guardian basics. We are here today at the Bart Garrison Agricultural Museum of South Carolina with Learning About LGDs founder Anna Abney. And let's kick off our first question. What is an LGD?
An LGD is a livestock guardian dog. And basically, it's any breed of dog specifically developed to protect livestock from predators. They are all big and hairy, and they have a higher degree of territorial and defensive aggression so that they can keep livestock safe from pretty much anything.
And what are some legitimate breeds of LGD?
Well, this guy here is one of our Central Asian Shepherds. These are fairly rare, so you won't see a whole lot of these yet. Some of the more common breeds that people have heard of are things like the Great Pyrenees, the Anatolian Shepherd. You may have heard of the Maremma Sheepdog. There's also the Kangal dog and the Akbash dog. Those are some of the more common breeds. And then there's a few more, there's close to 40 breeds, but those are the ones most people have heard of.
And how are they different from your, I guess, typical farm dog?
Well, first of all, they're pretty much bigger. Most farm dogs are going to be more your herding cur types, so they're going to be medium-sized dogs. These are large to giant in size. And they are much more low prey drive. Like you can see, he's not all that excited about the bouncing baby goats behind him. He doesn't tend to get aroused by movement. He doesn't have a tendency to chase. And they also tend to have a longer social bonding period, so they get emotionally attached to the livestock. Another thing that differs is that they're much more defensive in nature. If something scares them, they don't run away from it, they stand and fight, which most dogs will not do.
And what about mixes?
As in LGD to LGD, or?
Let's look at both.
Okay. Well, LGD breed to LGD breed crosses tend to work out just fine. They're not as predictable as the purebreds, but you know, they're still livestock guardians. They still have the same basic traits. So they tend to work out just fine. What's not a good idea is to cross livestock guardian breeds with non-livestock guardian breeds and expect them to perform the same job. Occasionally you might get a good pet or general farm dog out of that, but you're not typically going to get the same characteristics all in one package that you get with an LGD only cross. You especially want to avoid anything crossed with a herding dog, because that tends to get a high energy stock killing, stock chasing dog. And you don't want to cross anything with something very small and very low aggression, because then you're going to have a dog that simply won't guard.
How do you go about training an LGD?
Primarily, the training involves guidance more so than training. You primarily want to prevent them from forming bad habits like getting playful with their stock and jumping fences. But otherwise, it's more about just waiting for them to mature into their instincts. The guarding and territorial nature aspects of their temperament is natural. It doesn't have to be taught. They just have to grow up. So it's more about guidance and sort of management while they're young.
What are some common myths about training an LGD?
One of the myths is that you don't ever touch them. Some operations may want the dogs to be more hands-off than others. Like if you have a very large operation, you need the dog to really be bonded to stock. You may not be as hands-on with it, but you should still handle them. They still need to be able to walk on a leash. They still need to be able to stay at gates when you tell them to and tolerate being handled, so in case you need to provide vet care. So that's a really common myth. Another myth is that they're low energy. They're not actually low energy. They conserve energy, but they're actually quite active. They spend most of their night, for example, patrolling. So when you see that lazy dog lying around all day, it's not because he's lazy, it's because he's tired. He's taking a nap. He's been up working all night. Hey, buddy, back up. I know. Okay, come here. Another myth is that they're untrainable. They're not as trainable as a herding dog, as you can see, but they're not completely clueless. They're not stupid. You can get them to do basic things like sit and walk nice on a leash and stuff like that.
And I think a big concern for some of our members, what is the economic value of an LGD?
It's based on the economic value of your stock. If your livestock is worth anything to you at all, then that's how valuable the dog is. Pretty much these dogs will pay for themselves every single night that you have them. When you wake up in the morning with the same amount of stock that you went to sleep with, then you're going to pay for your dog. So some of these dogs are a little expensive. Some of the more rare breeds have a kind of sticker shock price tag. But in the long run, let's say you have a flock of 30 goats that are worth $300 a piece. That's a lot of money to lose. And you can lose dozens of goats in a single night from a pet dog attack or from a pack of wolves. So these dogs, their value is based entirely on how much your stock is worth.
And where can our viewers learn some more about LGDs?
Well, the first thing you can do is you can join our Facebook group, Learning About LGDs. We also have a website. It's www.learningaboutLGDs.weebly.com. We also have a few books that we recommend. Anything by Jan Dono. We have a copy of one of her Livestock Guardian books right now. That's probably one of the best ones on the market. And we have lots of links and websites and book recommendations on our Facebook page. Group.
All right, and I think that wraps up our first video. Thank you so much.